guys. At the moment, I would like to share some theoretical information about the ADO.NET. ADO.NET is the one of our oldest technology that they have used in Microsoft.NET Visual Studio. When they are initializing the first versions of the Visual Studio, the Microsoft company and the group has introduced this technology called the ADO.NET technology to manipulate and access the data. Uh, yeah, you have to have you have to follow some few steps to use the ADO.NET. One is you're supposed to have the connection string. The connection string is the way to connect to the database. Connection string has four parts. It is the server and the database, the, and user ID and password. Those are the four areas. The server and the database is needed to know which database access and where it's located. The server provides the information about which server is in here, and the name of the database is needed to access the database, to select the database. When you are accessing a database, you're supposed to give a username and a password. It means your credentials. This is just a string. Definitely it's a string. You use that string to connect with the database. To do that, in ADO.NET technology, it is facilitating another class called SQL connection. SQL connection take that string, this particular string, and it can connect to the database. You can connect your database when it's necessary, and once you complete your operation, you have to disconnect your database. The SQL connections has two operations called open to connect with the database, for the close to disconnect with the database. The next level is you have to run some sort of query in your database. To do that, there should be a query runner. The query runner is the SQL command. SQL command will run any kinds of SQL in the database. But to run the SQL, you have to have the connection. The connection will provide by the SQL connection. Once you have the SQL connection and the particular string, then you are ready to run any query in the database. There are two types of queries. Some just imagine inserting data, updating data, and deleting data. Those kinds of queries will add a new record to the database, or change existing record in the database. If you run an insert query, definitely you will add a new record to the database. If you use the update query, you will change existing data records in the database. And if you write a delete query, it will remove all one record in the database. But just imagine, apart from that, within all those three queries, update, insert, delete, they will never retrieve any data. But if you use select query, it is quite different. Select query helps you to retrieve data. To retrieve the data means you will retrieve a data table. The data comes as a table. To store the data, you have to have a temporary variable called data table. You can simply use this particular object to store data. You are running SQL command and put the results in the data table. That is not easy. It will the data adapter class will helps you to get the data or store the data temporarily. It means you are using data SQL data adapter to store data in temporary location. The temporary location is nothing but the data table. Okay. Now you can see if you are using select statements. If you're using select statement or select command, you have to use data adapter and the data table. If you are not using select command, it means your command is inserting or updating or deleting. You no need to worry about the number 4 and the number 5. You just need to write and execute the particular command with the SQL command. SQL command is the most significant one, and he's the guy who's executing the SQL. To connect with the database, we use the SQL connection. To storing data, we use data table, and adapter will support it. I forgot to tell that some libraries, the data connections and the data SQL commands are available within the system.data and the system.data.sql client. You can use within those two uh, packages. You can get the you can manually use the ADO.NET technology. Do not forget the ADO.NET technology is one of the oldest technology which comes from the Microsoft uh, Visual Studio, but even it is a very old, still it's a very powerful, but the industry standard is not the ADO.NET technology. Anyway, you have to follow Entity Framework 6. It is the in latest one in an industry really practice, and they are willing to practice the ADO.NET because sorry, not the ADO.NET, Entity Framework. Entity Framework has many features we will describe in upcoming sessions.